Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Risa. Today I'd like to present about the grammar of logical meaning called complex. And I've divided this presentation to 8 parts. The first is introduction. The second is what is clause complex. The third is why analyze clause complex. The fourth is the structure of clause complexes. The fifth is systems of the clause complex. The sixth is basic opposition, projection versus expansion. The seventh, discussion of analyzed text. And the last is additional equals to logical and experiential. Let's begin with introduction. In this topic, we examine the second component of ideational meaning, the logical structure of the clause complex. After defining the clause complex, we will review the two systems of logical relations that of exist for how two or more adjacent clauses are linked to each other through relations of dependency or interdependency, and logical semantics, the types of meaning that allow adjacent clauses to project or expand on each other. We will see that the logical systems of the clause complex complement transitivity choices, allowing us to compose spontaneously complex clusters of experiential representation. Finally, we will also see how variation in the amount of types of logical relations realize differences in mode and genre. Next, what is a clause complex? Clause complex is the term systematics used for grammatical and semantic unit form when two or more clauses are linked together in certain systematic and meaningful ways. The clause complex is a grammatical and semantic unit, and it is a unit that occurs in both spoken and written language. From now on, we will be using the term clause complex to refer to clause clusters of two or more clauses. We can use the term clause complex to refer to single clause units or sentences of only one clause. So here is the example of clause complex. The first clause, John didn't wait. The second clause, he ran away. So the clause complex here, John didn't wait, he ran away. Next, John ran away, which surprised everyone. John ran away and Fred stayed behind. John ran away, whereas Fred stayed behind. John was scared, so he ran away. John ran away because he was scared. John said, I'm running away. John said that he was running away. John thought to himself, I'll run away. John thought he would run away. Next, why analyze clause complex? So, one further reason for looking at clause complex relation is that the categories of clause complex relations actually apply over the other areas of the grammar as a whole, not just clauses, but also groups of phrases from complexes, and they do so along the same principles as the clause. Understanding how the natural logic of English works to form clause complexes can thus help us understanding the basic process of complexing, how language offers us the creative potential to blow out or develop on the meaning in any grammatical unit. Next is about structure of clause complex. Halliday claims when he points out that the clause is a multivariate structure, but the clause complex is a univariate one. A, 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 a multivariate structure is one where we can identify a complete whole which is made up of functionally distinct constituents. For example, the clause which is interpersonally made up of subject, finite, predicator, complement, adjunct. Each element performs a distinct and different role in contributing to the meaning of the whole clause structure. A univariate structure, on the other hand, we are dealing with a relationship between elements that are essentially the same and which can be changed together indefinitely. The table for the example, and fortunately, they could do it through the ambitical array. And as adjunct or conjunction, fortunately is a comment, they as a subject, could as a finite or mod, mood or actor, prematerial, do as predicator, it as complement, through the ambitical array is a junct or residue, goal, or manner. Next is about systems of the clause complex. First is the tactic system. This is the system that describes the type of independency relation between clauses linked into a clause complex. The two options in this tactic system are parataxis, where clauses are related as equal independent entities, and hypotaxis, where clauses relate to main clauses through a dependency relationship. Very roughly, this corresponds to what some conventional grammars refer to as coordination versus subordination relationships. Second, the logico-semantic system. This is the system that describes the specific type of meaning relationships between linked clauses. Again, there are two main options. Clauses may be related through projection, where one clause is quoted or reported by another clause, or through expansion, where one clause develops or expands on the meaning of another. Projection offers two choices: locution, where what is projected is speech, and idea, where what is projected is thoughts. The system of expansion is one we have already met when looking at conjunction. Expansion consists of three main options: elaboration, relations of restatement or equivalence, extension or relation of addition, and enhancement or relation of development. Okay, the next slide is about the basic opposition, projection versus expansion. Projection is logical semantics of quoting and reporting speech or thoughts, while expansion is logical semantics of developing on previous meaning. In projection, one of the clauses indicates that someone or something said or thought something. Any other clauses in the complex then express what the person or phenomenon said or thought. Here, for example, and they rang me up on the set. This was Saturday night and said, "You've got to come in and have your blood tested against the donors." So I said, okay, be a blood donor after that. And in her interview with me, Gail several times reported her thoughts to me. "I'm beginning to think it's forever, yes." And I thought that we shared some mannerism, he and I. On the other hand, in expansion, the secondary clause builds on the meanings of the primary clause, developing them in several ways. For example, while walking home one dry moonless night in 1968, I was shot in the back. Next, it's about discussion of analysis text. In the written account, there are almost as many clause simplexes as clause complexes. In the spoken text, almost 3/4 of the sentences are clause complexes. This gives further weight to the claim that spoken language tends to use the dynamic patterns of complexing more than written language does. Here is the result. Taxes in the text 9.1 and 9.2 in the textbook. There is hypotaxis, like projection, expansion, and the total in the text 9.2 is more bigger. It's about 24. And parataxis, there is projection, expansion, and the total also is the more bigger in the tax 9.2. Whereas in the table 9.4 about logical semantic relations in tax 9.2 and 9.2 and 9.1, there is projection also and then expansion. Again, in the tax 99.2 is more bigger, the number is 10. And the expansion also in the tax 9.2 is more bigger. The number is 34. All right. Now we are discuss about additional equals logical and plus experiential. Through choices of transitivity and clause complex, language users express experiential meanings about participant and processes and link this logically into coherent semantically sequenced packages. The successful negotiation of a text, however, involves more than just expressing sequences of content in text. The content must be expressed in a way which makes clear its relationships to prior text and which signals to us which part of the text is more or less important to understanding of the overall text. Clauses need to be structured in ways which enables interactants to interpret the speaker's priorities and direction. In the following chapter, we will explore the grammatical means by which the message is enabled when we examine the textual structure of the clause. I think that's all for me. Thank you for your participation. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.